Hello everyone. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a closer look at the healer and specifically about what is the best way to approach stats on the healer. And if you've seen the title and the thumbnail, you're probably wondering about the burning question, do healers need accuracy? And the answer to that question is yes, kind of, but it's not a big priority. And let me explain why that is and go over the best approach to healer stats and how you should be approaching it. So, the first thing you need to understand is that there are two types of healing mechanics. The number one is a passive single healing, and the way this works is it is a passive that is triggered by it is a passive that requires the core skill to hit and deal damage. Therefore, if you don't have accuracy and the core skill misses, you prevent that healing from triggering. The second type of healing is passive group healing, and that activates regardless of whether or not an attack lands, meaning the accuracy stat is irrelevant. So you have two types of healing. You have a healing that is triggered when your core attack hits, and you have the rest of the healing which does not factor at all with accuracy. So, with that in mind, how should you approach your stats? How should you approach accuracy? How much do you even need? So to understand that, let's take a look at the optimal healing stat priority first and foremost, and then see where accuracy falls within that list. So the thing you have to understand is the healer priority for stats is as follows. Number one is determination, followed very closely to the same weight with crit. Follow that up with haste, then mastery, and finally attack, because yes, your healing your healing output is scaled off of attack. So, why do we have this priority? So the reason you have crit and determination is the same reason you have crit and determination as a DPS, and that is because yes, you can get lucky crits for healing. What a determination does for DPS is that it causes the damage to ignore the target's defense, but for a healer, it doubles the healing. So when you get a determination, it doubles the healing output. And a crit is exactly what it sounds like. So it causes a critical heal. Now, when you have a crit and determination together, you get a lucky crit, which causes a huge heal. So those two stats are your top priority, and you should be keeping them balanced, ideally around the 35% mark or thereabouts. Maybe if you're a significant spender, you could justify getting that a bit higher, maybe 40%, even as high as 45%, as long as you're not sacrificing the rest of the stats in your build. So once you get a nice balance of, say, 35% crit and determination, then you're going to start building up haste, probably to around 30% or up to maybe 35%, but again, not going much higher than that, because if you don't know, there is a diminishing returns factor you have to consider with these stats, and it doesn't make sense to spam everything into a single stat, because after a certain point you no longer get as much from it and need more stats to get further percentage. So that's why you spread the stats around and try to keep a nice balance. So after you get enough hastes at 30 to 35% mark, you will then start working on your mastery, again probably going towards that 30% mark. Mastery, as just to say, it increases, it is a percentage bonus when dealing damage or healing, and the way it works is it is a final damage or final healing increase. So if you're going to deal 100 healing, then this will make you deal 30% more, or 130 healing. Haste as well, I forgot to mention it. It not only increases the speed of your basic attacks, it also increases your active skills and your recite and channel skills. And there are some healing skills that have their cooldown reduced by the haste percentage you have. Those skills will be specified by it saying in the skills description, the cooldown of the skill is affected by haste. So, we've established that. Priority again, I'll start from the beginning, crit and determination, followed up by haste, followed up by mastery, followed up by attack power. But where does accuracy fall in? So if you have all of those stats at an optimal level, then you can say maybe add a little accuracy in the mix. But how much do you really need? Well, it depends. I would say not as much as a DPS, which needs to get 100% hit rate on the dragon. I would say on the dragon and other bosses, maybe around 98% is fine. I don't know what an exact number is. The whole point here is that it is a lower priority, and let me explain why that is. Accuracy is the only stat that doesn't directly affect the scaling of your heals. So while it does allow you to hit more core attacks, which trigger the passive heals more often, it doesn't actually scale the intensity of the healing at all. So that's why you would prioritize all the other stats that actually increase the healing output you do before you start investing in accuracy. So, missing attacks will slightly heal, reduce the healing, yes, but the trade-off for prioritizing the other stats, these have a much more pronounced effect on your healing output. So, because of that, it's not to say you don't need accuracy at all, but it is that it is the lowest priority for you as a healer, and yields minimal results to these stats that directly scale healing. It's inefficient, and compared to just boosting determination and crit chance, you just completely increase your overall healing. Now, when we're on the subject of stats for healers, there's a few important things that I do want to mention that sometimes people are a little confused about. Specifically, let's talk about crit damage and damage percentage increase. Now, one thing I've seen, and I want to just clarify this because I've seen a few people say this, and they're like, oh yeah, I don't want to run Snow Leopard as my main Melomon. Why would I care about that? I'm running I have lots of crit and determination, so I'm running Demon Hound. Demon Hound is going to supercharge my heals, so I'm running Demon Hound, and that's my main Melomon as a healer. Now, what the problem is, people see this. So when triggering a crit hit or determination, increased damage by 72% when triggering both the damage bonus stacks. There is a misunderstanding about how this works. So I will say it now, and please keep this in mind. Damage percentage does not scale your healing output. Damage percentage specifically scales your damage output. It has no effect on your healing. So because of that, people misunderstand Demon Hound and think that it's going to supercharge their healing. It does not. It will have no effect on your healing. Now keep in mind, yes, awakening skills do actually increase your healing output. I don't know if I can show this, maybe here. So yes, when you get enough stars, during awakening effect, your healing is increased by X percentage. But this is all Melomon. This is not just Demon Hound. All Melomon have this. If I go to any other Melomon and I look at the stars, you'll see here, during awakening, your healing effect is increased by 30%. Another one, stars preview, during awakening, your healing is increased by 30%. So that's not specific to Demon Hound, and this awakening skill as a healer does nothing for you. That's why people say Snow Leopard is the best, because you get 25% more haste here. That's the real stat here that you want. So if you're a main healer, Snow Leopard is a no-brainer for you. You don't benefit from this damage percentage here, so you don't want to run Demon Hound as a healer. But this 25% haste is huge for you. Super huge. So that's an important distinction I want to make. The other thing I want to mention is, unfortunately, crit damage is another stat that does not affect your healing output. I know there's a lot of confusion about this, and people are like, well, wait. You can have a critical heal, but critical damage doesn't actually scale your healing output? And unfortunately, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that is in fact the case. Crit damage does not affect your healing output. You can get crit heals, yes. You can get determination heals. You can get lucky crit heals. But it is not based on how much crit damage you have. And increasing your crit damage will not affect your critical heal output. Sorry to say. Now, if it were, my personal opinion would be that it would be nice if crit damage did also have an impact on healing. However, the developers have chosen that it does not. So crit damage is a purely attacking stat with damage output. Damage percentage is a purely attacking stat, does not affect healing. So again, if you're a healer, you do not benefit from the awakening skill of Demon Hound, and you will be far better off with the awakening skill of Snow Leopard, which is the best healing awakening skill for that 25% haste, which is just pure perfection for a healer. So in summation, we've gone through a lot of different things here. You need to understand accuracy is somewhat important, but really a much lower priority for you as a healer than your crit, determination, haste, mastery, and attack. And that's why it's worth missing a few core attacks and not getting that passive triggering in order to allow you to supercharge the rest of your stats and get insane healing output. So hopefully you understood this well. One last tip I want to leave you with, actually, For example, because healers do have to swap often between healing and DPS specs, if you do want to have the best way to have all of your stats met, but also be able to get accuracy when you need to in your healing spec, in your DPS spec, the best way to approach this is to have no accuracy spec or very little accuracy spec on your gear, very little accuracy spec on other sources like your mount stickers, and then to use your Melamon moves. When you swap your Melamon moves to accuracy when you need to swap to DPS, you get to that magic number of 103% or slightly more than that if you're a much lower level than the boss. So that way, it's the easiest way to get the accuracy you need when you swap to your DPS build without affecting your recasts for your main healing spec. Because recasting is a lot harder to do than just swapping your moves out. So that's a good way to approach this. If you need a bit more accuracy, just swap out a couple moves. Probably you'd end up swapping either out an attack move, or maybe your mastery or something like that. You probably wouldn't swap out your crit determination or haste moves, but you could sacrifice a little mastery in order to get some more accuracy, for example. So there you have it. That's a breakdown of the healer stat priority and why accuracy is a less needed stat for a healer, but not totally useless. Make that clear. So anyway, hope that helps. Make sure you're definitely prioritizing these stats in that order so you can supercharge your healing output and keep your party alive. So anyway, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button if you liked the video. If you have any further questions, do leave it in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you know when the next video will be uploaded. Join the Discord if you haven't already. The link is in the description down below. So that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.